guys, we just did a big restock on our supplements. If you're looking for super clean energy, we got our Barbell Brigade pre-workout and sour gummy. We have our immunity support, which is our electrolytes, vitamin C, and B complex vitamins blend, which keeps you hydrated and healthy, and our multivitamin, which covers the 4 pillars of health: brain, heart, gut, and body. We just did a full restock. Go to barbellbrigade.com.
Hey guys, my name is Jimmy House. I'm a 5-year Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, also a competitive powerlifter with various records underneath my belt. I compete in strict curl and also a pro natural bodybuilder. Today what we're going to talk about is how to achieve full range of motion, specifically with the curl, and how it's beneficial when it comes to defending arm bars or just not getting hurt by an arm bar. When you think about full range of motion, the biggest thing that people kind of fail to understand is that I always think about flexing the opposite muscle when it comes to trying to achieve full range of motion. So for example, if I'm doing a curl, I want to work the biceps. So naturally, in order to achieve full range of motion, I think about flexing my triceps so that the bicep gets as long as possible. So I know that I'm at its full state here before I squeeze everything and bring it short and contract it at the top. When it comes to this concept of achieving full range of motion, a lot of times it's as simple as flexing the opposite muscle, which a lot of times we don't think about. Now, in regards to the curl, I find that any curl movement you do, hammer curl, preacher curl, standing barbell curl, I'm trying to find a way to flex my tricep at the bottom before I start any type of contraction with the bicep itself. That way I know in an armbar scenario, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if I'm ever taken to my full range of motion here with the arm bar, sure, I may not be able to literally curl myself out of it, but being strong in this position with my arm so far away from my body and my bicep fully elongated here, I'm gonna be more bulletproof to be able to handle that type of pressure, which in result, give me more time to tap, or just in general prevent any type of bicep tear or elbow injury that might occur from somebody yanking on my arm super hard. So that's important. And in my experience, just being strong in this position has bought me a lot more time than it would had I not developed strength here. For example, if somebody takes my arm out this way, I might be able to hold it a second or two longer than your average person to work my technique, which should be your first priority in getting out of that position. So sometimes, again, Jiu-Jitsu is very technically based, but if you have strength or speed or athleticism, you'd be a fool to not incorporate that into your game. So in this particular case, because all the various curl training that I do, I'm stronger to hold this maybe longer than your average person, and I have literally more time to think in my head how I want to technically approach escaping it. I've never really occurred a elbow or bicep injury from escaping arm bars. I've competed in a lot of EBI tournaments, and as you guys may or may not know, overtime starts with you either them taking your back or them taking your arm. And so if somebody's ever taken my arm all the way out to here, I've never actually gotten injured from this position. In fact, one of my recent tournaments from a couple years ago, the guy had my arm fully extended here, and I was able to fight that long enough to turn my elbow to change the direction and actually work an escape, ended up winning the tournament. So to me, there's proof to the pudding, and I would love for you guys to try it out to see what your results are as well. So I have a group of 3 to 4 bicep curl exercises that I predominantly like to do. We already did a video on the strict curl, so if you guys want to check that out, make sure to go down the channel and see our video on that. What we're going to touch on predominantly today is going to be what I call the ATG preacher curl. And all that is your traditional preacher curl where you take an easy curl bar or a dumbbell, going over the preacher pad and curling it up to a starting position. But what I try to do is make it as similar to an arm bar as possible. With that said, I also try to put my body in a position that makes it truly isolated on the bicep. For example, whether it's an easy curl bar preacher curl or even a dumbbell preacher curl, you got a lot of contraction going on in your chest, your shoulder, your rear delt, even your lat assisting. On top of that, because we're not against the wall, as it starts to get harder, we are tempted to try to lean back to help leverage that weight to the finish. So what I do, and you'll see in the video, I turn my chest out here, I let my arm fully disconnect from my body, so my chest is opened up, my shoulders opened up, there's very little contraction going on here, so the predominant weight is on my bicep. With that said, because I'm turned away from it, I don't have a lot of contraction going on from my rear delt or my lat, so I'm turning my chest fully out, and to make it even harder, I look behind myself here. And what that does is it allows me to get a very deep stretch from the bicep all the way down to my elbow right here, which again, if you're conscious of load management, is actually very safe. And then you could also argue that it's very healthy if you do it carefully long term. And now if you think this position right here, if somebody were to arm bar me, my arm's completely away from my body, it's not my chest, my shoulder, my back helping me here. It's my bicep holding on for dear life and my elbow coming in last second. So this is a position where, again, treat it lightly, but it's mimicking that arm bar position hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. So now if you change the stimulus and go from lifting to jiu-jitsu, the only thing that changes, instead of the weight pulling down on you, now somebody is actually pulling on your arm. To my previous point, less likely to get injured, or you might buy yourself 1 or 2 more seconds to think about a technical way to get out. So to me, the benefits are 100% worth it. You take that movement, you approach it very lightly. For example, right now I'm anywhere between 60 and 70 pounds for a triple on this movement. I started honestly with 10 to 15 pounds, doing 3 sets of anywhere from 15 to 20 reps. Very, very lightweight, but I did that consecutively for about 2 to 3 weeks, and it allowed me to build the conditioning and also strengthen my tendons and ligaments during that process, which generally take a little bit slower than just the muscle fiber itself. So what I would suggest to people is, even if it's just, let's say you have really poor range of motion in your arms, you have a prior injury, what I would suggest is that you don't even need a weight. You could go as light as 2.5 pounds, grab a 2.5 pound plate, do it like this, or you could literally, without any weight, open-handed, go all the way down and just focus on really hard contractions coming up here like this. You could literally do that for 1 to 2 weeks and see a lot of improvement with strength and mobility, and then start adding weight anywhere from 2.5 to 5 pounds every couple weeks. If you do that long enough, eventually you're gonna be doing pretty impressive weight, and you should see a direct correlation when it comes to your performance on the mat. So the third one that I really like to prioritize would be a hammer curl, especially done at the incline, because to me it's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You have the bicep benefits, you have the elbow benefits, but you also, at an incline, have some shoulder mobility benefits to gain from it as well. Generally, when you're at an incline here, it allows your arm to hang behind your body, which then means you get more of a stretch on the bicep, but you also get more of a stretch on the shoulder here. And for most people, getting their arm behind their body is not an easy thing to accomplish. So when you load light weight in that position, it's essentially like kind of doing a weighted stretch, almost like yoga. If you do that enough times, with that stimulus, you'll see increased shoulder mobility as well as bicep and elbow health, especially with the hammer curl being more focused on the form up into the brachialis here. So, like I said, now doing this movement, getting my arm behind my body here like this is actually very achievable. And I've used this movement to actually condition me to the point to where I can hang upside down with my arms behind my back from like a pull-up bar. And now translating that into some of my pro wrestling training, I do a lot of jumping. The farther I can get my arms back, the more momentum I have to carry myself off the ground. So as an athlete, shoulder mobility plays more of a role than I think what a lot of people give it credit for. A lot of my jiu-jitsu style is very athletically based. There's a lot of jumping, quick movements around. And besides my legs being ready for that, I also make sure my shoulders are ready for that as well. Being able to be mobile and also get my arms cocked back far enough I need to shoot or jump into position faster than what your typical person would. So whether you're doing this for jiu-jitsu and trying to win more matches, or you're just trying to get bigger and stronger in the gym, these concepts that we're going over have huge benefit and carryover no matter what you're doing. If you'd like to see more, make sure to check out more Barbell Brigade's YouTube videos, or you can follow me on Instagram at jhouse182, or follow me on YouTube at Jimmy House. Thanks, guys.